Pursuit. We're broadcasting to you on KCAL 9 and CBS 2 this morning, bringing you this pursuit. It all began in the Canyon Country area. There are 4 suspects who entered a bank in Canyon Country, Santa Clarita area. They are being pursued in a black Volvo. We don't know exactly what went down in the bank. However, there are reports that they did get away with some cash because we're receiving reports that they're actually throwing money from the vehicle. One of the 4 suspects is said to have exited the vehicle somewhere in Sylmar, and we believe that there are 3 more in the car. Well, you see some more cash going out the window there. It's getting pretty wild here down in the South LA Exposition Park area.
This is unbelievable. That's the second time now in the past few seconds that we've seen that. Derek Bell, you back with us as they're throwing more money out the window?
Yeah, we sure are. We're going to apologize for our angle on this, but Los Angeles Tower is holding us off just a little bit to the east here. He is eastbound 42nd Street, 2 blocks east of Hoover. They're saying still more money coming out the window. He's coming right at us. It looks like he's coming towards the 110 freeway. Perhaps when they get out, get rid of all that money that they'll give up. We just don't know. Still looking at about a half dozen patrol cars directly behind this vehicle. Okay, we're going to get this. Okay, now they're saying this is southbound Hoover from 42nd. And he's got traffic up ahead going through that light, continuing southbound on Hoover, past Vernon. That was Vernon Avenue. We saw him circle a couple of blocks a couple of times, and it looked like this may have come to an end. They were in some place where they were kind of zeroing in on, but apparently that was not the case. Now turning westbound on 47th Street from Hoover. We pull out just a little bit, you'll be able to see some of those patrol cars right behind him. There's 4 directly behind him, and then 3 to 5 behind them as well. More money now coming out, we're hearing. Westbound 42nd, 7th Street from Hoover. Now turning back northbound.
Yeah, just when you think you've seen it all, Derek, now we're seeing piles of money, and he wasn't throwing out a buck or two. He was throwing out a lot of money there. Take a look at the left side of your, or the right side of your screen there. You can see exactly what we're talking about. He's throwing out handfuls of money. It looks like somebody in the back seat is actually responsible for dispensing of the cash out the window, if you will. And we saw some pedestrians there. They're not sure what to do as they see these this money being thrown out the window. We now know that there are at least 2 people in the vehicle. There it goes again, another live video of money being tossed out the back window. So we know at least 2 people in the vehicle, the driver, and it appears, Derek, that the driver looks like he's wearing a dress shirt and a tie. Can you pick up on that?
It's difficult for us to see that up in here in Sky 9, but you may indeed be right on that one. Looks like he's continuing on westbound on Vernon. We're going to have to get permission from LA Tower to go ahead and pick him up again, so it looks like
all right, Derek, we want to
be off just for a second.
Okay, we'll take care of business there, Derek. In the meantime, we want to go to the phone, and Captain Mike Parker of LA County Sheriff's Department is on the phone with us. And Captain, what can you tell us about how this whole thing started, and what are we looking at here? Captain Parker, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what can you tell us about this pursuit? How did this start, and who are we looking at?
Yeah, we're in pursuit of 1 or more armed bank robbers right now. It started this morning at 10:08 at the Bank of America on Soledad Canyon in Santa Clarita Valley, when at least 4 bank robbers hit this bank, and then deputies soon found their vehicle and went in pursuit. 2 of the robbers got out on Yarnell in Sylmar, and an additional robber got out on Hubbard in Sylmar, and those resulted in chases and foot pursuits from sheriff's deputies. This pursuit continued, vehicle pursuit continued to the driver. There's 1 or more people in that car, and as you've seen, they have been throwing what appears to be cash out the window during the pursuit during the last 10 minutes. They're believed to be armed and extremely dangerous, given that they just apparently robbed a bank.
And Captain, do you know what kind of weapons they have? Are we talking about guns?
Yeah, the last report I got was there's at least 1 handgun involved.
And you also mentioned that 2 of the suspects got out on Yarnell, 1 on Hubbard, and there were foot pursuits involved. Were those suspects captured?
I don't have an update yet whether those suspects were captured. Right now, it's growing in the number of scenes that we're handling. You have the bank itself. You have Yarnell, where there would be the deputies chasing 2 suspects, so that's potentially 2 different directions. And then on Hubbard, that would be an additional location. And then the pursuit itself, which now we've added to it, I've watched on your television station what appeared to me 5 or more times that they've thrown cash out the window. I also saw a dark object thrown out. So it appears to me it might be 2 suspects still left in that car.
Okay, and do you know who are dealing with here? Have you run this plate? Do you have an ID on who's driving this vehicle? Who it belongs to? We
do have information regarding the license plate. We're not putting that out right now because that's obviously an investigative clue. So we're not putting out the plate information. We're obviously sticking with this car.
Yeah, but you think that you are pursuing the owner of the vehicle?
I don't know myself whether it's the actual registered owner or where they got the car.
And Captain, as you mentioned, 5 or more scenes where it appears that money has been thrown out, also a dark object, it looked like a bag, perhaps, a black bag. What happens at those scenes now? Do you send investigators to each of those scenes? And also, what happens if people find the money? Because we have seen some pedestrians out on the street.
Right. I agree with you, Sandra. That looked to me like a black bag that was thrown out the window as well. We have special equipment in the patrol cars now where we have a geotagging capacity. So what will happen is as they throw something out the window, a deputy hits a button in his computer and it'll say geographically down to a few feet exactly what location that was. However, you notice that there's patrol cars following behind. So my guesstimate is they're trying to get deputies to stop following them and to stop to pick up the money. So there are plenty of law enforcement following. I would encourage any members of the public to recognize the fact that if they are in a place where they're seeing this money thrown out, they pick it up, the right thing to do, the legal thing to do is to turn that in. That money does belong to someone else. So, but we're going to continue this pursuit. Obviously, their driving is reckless and dangerous. They're considered armed and robbed a bank. So we're concerned for the safety of the public.
The fact that they're throwing loose cash out of there raises some questions. Would this be money that comes out of a teller drawer or something? We're used to hearing about cash being contained in a bag and die packs and so forth.
Yeah, I'd be guessing at this point, but typically when a bank gets robbed, they're using teller cash. But I don't know that whether it came out of the vault or not. And we don't ever disclose what a dollar amount is that's robbed from a bank, so I couldn't tell you what that amount is either. But you know, there's a lot of things that are going on right now. We're working with California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles Police Department because the suspects went from Sheriff's Patrol area in Santa Clarita Valley to Los Angeles Police Department policing jurisdiction in the Sylmar area onto the freeways where the California Highway Patrol is involved, and then now they're in the Los Angeles Police Department area in the city of Los Angeles. But all law enforcement agencies that I've mentioned all have law enforcement, peace officer authority everywhere in the state of California. So what we do is we work together as we go into each other's jurisdictions. You notice there's still several cars following because it's at any point in time the suspect or suspects could get out of the car and start running.
And Captain, we're watching this live video right now, and people are running into the street near this vehicle to pick up the cash. And I'm sure that we have to remind the public that these are dangerous suspects.
This is so incredibly dangerous because all it takes is a quick turn of a steering wheel, just a minor quick turn of a steering wheel, and one of those pedestrians could get hit and killed. And obviously, we don't want anybody to get hurt. The best thing these suspects can do is pull over, put their hands in the air, and surrender. And throwing the money out the window is just compounding their legal issues, in my opinion.
Looks like this vehicle's trying to slow them down or stop them.
Yeah, that's another thing, unfortunately, we face in some of these pursuits is that well-meaning people will intentionally swerve in front of a car or try to stop the car. That, again, is extremely dangerous. You don't know if these suspects are going to start shooting or cooperate or what. We really, law enforcement does a lot of training regarding this, and it really is best left for us to handle. The best thing people can do is just stay away from all this. This is not the place to be right now.
And Captain Parker, your experience in these type of situations, is your gut telling you right now these guys are from this neighborhood they're in?
You know, I don't know about these suspects in particular. I do know that oftentimes suspects will go to a neighborhood they're familiar with because they're concerned if they're not familiar with a neighborhood, they could go into a cul-de-sac and get trapped. We, of course, really like it when they do that because that makes it easier to catch them. It stops the pursuit and gets it safe for the public again. But you notice now, I'm watching your television station, you notice that he's on narrow streets, there's pedestrians walking around, and we face this dilemma is, do we stop chasing the suspects? And do we do that? Now, it goes beyond just them getting away. Is they get away and they do what? Do they rob and shoot someone the next day? And so our dilemma is always, is it serious enough that we should continue pursuit no matter what? And in this particular case, these suspects are very dangerous.
Captain, it looks like it's getting a lot more dangerous with more people approaching the vehicle, and it appears that they're throwing more things out of the vehicle. Something that might have been a shirt or a jacket, it looked like they tossed out there just a few moments ago.
Right, and I'm going to make one more comment, and then I have to go because I'm getting an update here, is that you're also seeing people that are running out into the street, running within feet of this car, and treating it almost like a circus-like atmosphere. And again, I'll emphasize that all that driver who we know nothing about other than that he's part of the bank robbery, all he has to do is turn that steering wheel to the left or right ever so slightly, and he will take a life. And so this person, this driver, is endangering a whole lot of people right now, and these people running out there to get close to the car are putting themselves right in the crosshairs.
Captain Parker, LA County Sheriff's Department, we appreciate you taking time with us here this afternoon. We know you're busy, and we commend you for the work so far on this pursuit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. If you're just joining us, this is breaking news, live coverage of a very dangerous pursuit. It started in Santa Clarita, the Bank of America, with a bank robbery there. It was just after 10 o'clock this morning, and the pursuit continued down the 5 southbound to the 210 through the La Crescenta area, and now back onto surface streets in the South Los Angeles area. We have seen these suspects a number of times, probably 10 times, throwing cash, or what appears to be cash, out of the vehicle. You see it right there. And now, just in the past few minutes, we've seen people approaching the vehicle as they try to get perhaps some of this money or just get close to what's going on here. But again, as Captain Mike Parker from the Sheriff's Department told us, this is a very dangerous situation. We know that the suspects were armed when they robbed the bank. We are told with a handgun, they believe. 2 of the suspects bailed out in Sylmar on Yarnell, and 1 bailed out on Hubbard. And we understand that there are foot pursuits going on in that area if those suspects have not yet been apprehended. And it looks like, Dave, 2 people in this vehicle at least.
Boy, it's really turning into a neighborhood scene down there, too. Derek Bell is still above it all in Sky 9. And Derek, this is kind of turning into something of a carnival atmosphere down there.
That is indeed correct. He's now eastbound on 43rd Street, southbound now from Kansas, on Kansas, I should say. He's been on this street before, so it looks as though that he is in an area that he perhaps is familiar with and is continuing around the same blocks. Now, as you said before, we had people running out in the street. As a matter of fact, as he passed by some of those people, they ran out behind the vehicle. They were briefly stopping some of the pursuing officers, making for a very dangerous situation. Officers were coming up on pedestrians that had jumped into the pursuit as well. He just passed, of course, we are eastbound now. It looks like to be about 44th Street and coming away from Vermont, now approaching Hoover. Actually, I think that was through Hoover, approaching Figueroa right now. He's coming back up to the 210, make that the 110 freeway, the Harbor Freeway, and we're gonna, looks like he's gonna be making a southbound turn, southbound Figueroa from about 44th. So he's now, he's gone around the same area a few times. Now looks like he's picking up back southbound and we are going to pick it up here and follow him. LAPD helicopter is now on scene, as well as the sheriff's helicopter. Likewise, we've got a lot of LAPD units down there on the ground. Of course, this is their territory. Picking up speed now southbound on Figueroa, and they have construction up ahead. They're down to one lane here, so he's going to have to make a decision here pretty shortly about what he's going to want to do. Now, westbound 5-3, westbound 53rd Street, from Figueroa towards Hoover. So we thought he was going to continue on southbound on Figueroa and perhaps exit the area that he had been going around and around in, but it looks like he has made now back a westbound turn and continued on through Hoover. 53rd Street from Hoover. And it's a long block all the way to Vermont. We're going to try and move our way. We have to deal with traffic coming into LAX right now due to the fact that we're on long final for many of the lanes of traffic for Los Angeles International Airport. But looks like we're coming up on Vermont. 53rd from Vermont, and he went on through 53rd, continuing on. The sheriff's helicopter overhead is low, and they're getting a good view of the driver. Apparently, they just put out a clothing description of him should he jump out and start running, that those pursuing officers will have that. Still westbound 53rd, South Los Angeles. Northbound now Budlong, northbound Budlong, so he is turning back to the area that we saw him go round and round in. Unclear if he's going to come all the way back up that way. We put up about 10 blocks further to the north. About through 50th Street right here. And we'll see which way he, 51st, approaching the 50th Street. He's got a T intersection coming up ahead. He's going to have to go east or westbound on 48th, we do believe. And we'll see which way he goes. He's got cross traffic up ahead. Streets here, very narrow. Okay, got, wow, okay. Okay, now turning back westbound 48th Street.
Yeah, it looks pretty crowded in that area, Derek. He's having to make a lot of turns here left and right. I want to show you an active scene that's going on right now. We've been mentioning to you that there were initially 4 suspects involved in the armed bank robbery, and 2 of those suspects exited the vehicle, one at Yarnell and one in Hubbard. This is a live scene of Sylmar there, where one of the suspects left the vehicle. You can see the LA County Sheriff's Department is there en masse and looking for that person who exited the vehicle. Perhaps they have him in custody. We're still working that situation there in Sylmar on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, we talked to Captain Mike Parker from the LA County Sheriff's Department live just a few moments ago, and he told us about those 3 suspects that bailed out, and he wasn't sure if they were in custody or not. So a number of scenes going on right now. Of course, the biggest one, the most dangerous one, are these live pictures you're looking at in South Los Angeles right now. A lot of traffic, and the pursuit continues. Derek?
Yeah, we still are northbound Kansas, just past Vernon. A lot more traffic in the area right now, and he's maneuvering through just as quickly as he is able. Once we see that he is appears to be completely blocked in, he gets an opening and he takes it. Continuing northbound on Kansas, 2 blocks now north of Vernon. We're now turned back westbound, make that eastbound towards Vermont. Okay, turning back southbound. Well, he looked southbound, and it was pretty well jammed right there. There's some construction going on, and he's continuing on westbound. Make that eastbound. I'm sorry about that. People running out into the streets as he approaches. This is going to be tough coming up here at this intersection. We've got about a dozen people that are out in the street. This is going to be Hoover, 43rd and Hoover, turning northbound on Hoover from 43rd.
And Derek, we're looking at quite a dangerous situation out there. You can see people running up to the pursuit. Obviously, they've heard about what's going on there, and a lot of folks are after some of the cash, I'm sure, that we've been looking at here this morning as they throw some of the cash from the window, and it's really creating a dangerous situation out there.
Indeed, I should say so. Still throwing cash out the window. We've heard that broadcast perhaps a dozen times now. So they're still throwing it out at a kind of metering it out, not throwing it out all at once, but throwing some here and there. Perhaps this is part of the plan to try and elude the officers by having so much foot traffic out here, people interested in getting that money, that they might be able to effect a getaway, but it just does not look like that is going to work.
Yeah, this is live video on the left side of your screen. The bigger picture on the right side is some video that we took earlier of when they were throwing cash out the window. Like we said, you can see people running right up to the vehicle, and as Captain Parker was telling us earlier, it gets very dangerous then.
It's dangerous because of that vehicle and also the police cars that are following it. It puts those officers in a dangerous situation when they have to be aware of the public running in front of the vehicles as well. And we also know that the suspect is possibly armed, because this was an armed bank robbery, and Captain Parker from the Sheriff's Department telling us that they had at least one handgun. So a very dangerous pursuit, and we see more people still out on the street, Derek.
That is correct. He's going back and forth, staying in the relatively the same area. That was Kansas and Vernon, now just turning back westbound on Vernon. So he's been through that intersection a number of times now. Turned southbound, now is up on the sidewalk at Budlong, and Vernon just went past that building. It looks like he corrected and is now back on the street. He went up onto the sidewalk there, had a difficult time negotiating that turn.
Looks like he's picking up speeds,
one
Derek.
street south of Vernon. Say again?
Looks like he's picking up
speed. He tried to
speeds.
pick up some speed there. Yeah, he picked up some speed there. He's got cross traffic, people in the intersection right there. Kansas now just south of Vernon. We're hearing the southbound Kansas, but I think eastbound Kansas, but I believe that that is not the case. He's approaching Vermont right now. He's got a lot of traffic, cross traffic, northbound traffic, pedestrians. The continuing on 1 street south of Vernon eastbound, crossing over Vermont. He's been on this block now by our count about 4 times. We saw him turn northbound before. Now he's turning southbound. Lots of people out in the area, both in their cars and on foot, southbound Menlo. As you can see, we've got other vehicles that are coming into the area, and he's narrowly avoiding those.
And you mentioned the other vehicles coming into the area. It looked like just a few seconds ago that somebody actually pulled their car up to his vehicle and tried to jump out.
Crazy behavior on people in the area here. The Sheriff's Department has just called for the LEP to start just blocking some of the intersections here, just to keep some of the traffic stop in some of this area. Perhaps that would help this help the Sheriff's Department out in this pursuit. Northbound on Vermont, coming up on Vernon, passed through this intersection a number of times before, pressed on through, now back east, make that westbound on Vernon. You can see the volume of traffic in the area. In addition to some of the transit traffic that is in the area, people also in their vehicles and coming out here trying to see this pursuit as it passes by. This intersection here, we've seen a number of people out on the sidewalk there.
Well, it looks like we've got a situation here where it's
in.
Yeah, it looks like he's blocked in. We could see an end to this. Now it gets very dangerous. Okay. We've got so many civilians around.
Indeed, looks like the Sheriff's Department trying to keep people away from the vehicle itself. More vehicles coming up. It's come to a stop.
You see the officer on the right side there clearing that vehicle. It looks like they're taking a second suspect out of the car. One's already in the prone position, as you can see, working on getting the second out. He's down now. And they're putting the cuffs on that second suspect.
We know at least 2 people were in the vehicle. Go ahead, Derek.
It looks like it was the 2. That's what we're hearing. 2 people they're talking about. They're taking them into custody right now. 1 block west of Vermont on Vernon. Crowd control now is going to be an issue for them. We're hearing that they need more officers for that. As we pull out a little bit, you can see the crowd that is gathered in the intersection here has come to a complete gridlock due to people and vehicles right here, just 1 block west of Vermont on Vernon. So one of the craziest pursuits we've seen. We've seen before bank robbery suspects or robbery suspects throw evidence out the window, that being the money. But this was just an ongoing effort by these people to try and get out.
And just such a relief, Derek, that this came to an end like this, because there were so many pedestrians approaching that vehicle and it looked just extremely dangerous. And all these distractions for those officers at the end of this pursuit, the sheriff's deputies, with all those people crowded around, and they were able to focus and get them out of the car safely.
Yeah, we hope now.
Yeah, stress level for those officers must be at the highest. As you can see how many people have arrived on the area in just a few short minutes since this pursuit has ended. Gives you a sense about how many people were aware of this and were able to move towards where the pursuit is. We're looking down at Vernon, and we are still seeing people pour into the area. So we've got traffic gridlock, officers in intersections, blocking intersections, people unable to get their vehicles through some of these intersections, and of course the pedestrian traffic that is growing at this intersection.
And Derek, this came to an end when we saw that silver vehicle, looks like some sort of truck or SUV, pulled in front of the suspect's vehicle.